This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, October 13th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net for the closing markets. But first, it is from a video from the presentation of the recent Choose Iowa Butchery Innovation Grants, as we will hear from Tucker Maxwell of Maxwell Custom Beef, as he was one of the recipients for one of those Butchery Innovation Grants.
My name is Tucker Maxwell. Thank you to everybody for coming out today to Maxwell Custom Beef. Really appreciate you guys. Mike, thank you everybody at Choose Iowa for the opportunity. Everybody in the Department of Agriculture. More importantly, thank you to Ben for reading over my first submission. There were some changes to make, but he definitely helped me build on that. So that was awesome. And then, most importantly, thank you to Kent and Amy. Thanks for being here today. Thank you for the opportunity to kind of carry on the tradition of being a butcher shop right here in Des Moines. It's pretty cool that there's been one here since 1869, and there can still be one here. And just without your guys' help, Maxwell Custom Beef wouldn't, be as successful as it is, or we wouldn't be where we are today. So thank you. My name's Tucker. I grew up in Maxwell, Iowa. I first got, introduced to custom processing when I worked at Gowie's Locker when I was 13. Kind of found out about this place. I came back, had moved back to central Iowa. I brought some cattle down here for my dad, and he had told me that this place was for sale. And so we had talked about it, and after a lot longer than we initially thought, definitely glad to be here. The goal for Maxwell Custom Beef is pretty simple. Definitely want to better serve people of central Iowa, want to better serve the beef producers, make beef processing more accessible, more easier to call in and get dates a little bit shorter, so a little less planning for them. But more importantly, I want this to be a marketplace for, consumers as well. I want to kind of foster relationships between beef consumers around central Iowa, around the state, and, even around the Midwest, with the great beef producers around central Iowa. And so, what this grant's really going to help us do, it's going to help us automate. Right now, we're at 12 head a week. I'd initially thought that, once we added a bulker, a mixer grinder, some of the equipment to help speed up some things, that we'd only be able to do 14 to 16. Now I'm kind of quickly realizing the constraints of what we have for cooler space, and this equipment should help us get to 25, 30, potentially even 40. And so with the update to that, I'm really hoping, with the help of everybody at the state, Dr. V's been a huge help. Our inspector, Trent Butler, has also been a huge help. So once we can go inspected, we can, reach closer to serving more Iowans, helping more beef producers, and use the CIS program to kind of just bolster and help beef producers sell their beef. And again, hope that beef consumers can get in touch and, make it more possible for them to do farm visits, to know exactly where their beef's coming from. And hopefully they can, foster relationships and kind of learn more about what goes into what's on their plates. So again, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks again to the state. Thank you guys for the opportunity. I really appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks for stopping out. Really appreciate it.
That was Tucker Maxwell of Maxwell Custom Beef here on today's episode of Ag Matters PM. It is time now for the closing markets. I will be joined by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. But first, a word from the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Joined now for the closing markets by Sam Trainor of agmarket.net. Sam, what did we see in the trade in the grains today?
It was a very quiet day in the grain markets to start out this week. Obviously, banks and several other places closed today. However, grain markets were open, but made the joke today they might as well have been closed because not a whole lot going on either the corn, beans, or wheat for that matter. Just very quiet. Corn finished just fractionally lower. Soybeans just a bit higher here. We had some news coming out this morning. Kind of piggybacking off of what happened Friday. Obviously, we had a pretty ugly sell-off in the soybean market on Friday due to Trump's social media posts saying that he does not plan to meet with President Xi in China anymore due to the lack of negotiations moving forward. He kind of backpedaled a little bit this morning. Scott Bessent was noted saying that the two are on track to meet in South Korea as originally planned. And the tariffs that were threatened, those are set to go into effect not until November 1st, which will be after the two presidents meet. So looking like we're getting a little bit closer to maybe mending relationships with China rather than going the opposite direction like we thought we were on Friday going home. So that was definitely supportive, especially on the outside markets today. They were pretty busy. The stock market was sharply higher today. But the corn and soybeans were pretty muted here today. Not a whole lot of reaction.
And Sam, I know we're at the mercy of the headlines right now, and there's a lot of volatility because of obviously the government shutdown, lack of reports, lack of data and everything. But this story, it goes back to even before the government was shut down in terms of reacting to the headlines, because it seems like President Trump will make a statement positively regarding China or negatively, and it swings the market one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about tariffs here, well, really all the way back to November of last year when President Trump got elected, and then it really kind of got, ignited back there in April when we got the initial list that is now the infamous list there that he came on in the afternoon with all the tariffs he was proposing. Since then. The tariffs has kind of taken a little bit of a backseat, not necessarily a backseat, I shouldn't say, but haven't been as important just because it's kind of the same story over and over again. But I think here now that we're in the midst of a government shutdown, the reaction to these headlines are exaggerated a little bit just because that is the only news that we're really trading right now. Like you said, with the government shutdown, we're not getting any USDA reports. So we're not getting any fundamental data out of the USDA. So whenever we see something like this that is very, very fundamentally changing towards especially soybean prices here, if we were to get some sort of trade deal with China, the market is reacting very, very quickly to those headlines. Now, like I said, today we didn't really react at all, but at least we did close just a few cents into the green. And I like to think that maybe Friday was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and maybe we try to consolidate here leading into that next meeting between the two presidents there in South Korea at the end of the month.
On the other side of the trade, was it as quiet in the livestock trade today?
It was not. We actually saw pretty sharp price action there. We ended the day sharply higher. Especially in the live cattle, they were up a couple dollars. Fundamental story still has not changed there. Supplies remain tight. Estimated slaughter was down about 547,000 head for last week, which continues the tightness there on the supply chain. And it's October now, so you got to start thinking about the holidays coming up here. And sounds like beef demand is going to stay strong here for the time being. And we're still waiting on any sort of news with the Mexican border opening up for feeder cattle imports. Obviously, that's been shut down for quite some time now due to the New World screwworm outbreak down in Mexico and trying to keep that there and out of the U.S. herd. So until that gets opened up and we can get more cattle in the country here, I imagine that the fundamental picture is not going to change here.
What about the hog side? Were they along for the ride kind of as passengers here today with it being a little more quiet?
They had a pretty reactive day as well, kind of similar to the cattle markets. Stories kind of very similar on the hog side as it is for the feeders. They're trading at a discount to cash prices, so trying to catch up to those cash prices. And same thing as I mentioned with the holidays here. We're going to be buying some pork here coming up over the coming months, and I think that there's plenty of demand, and the supplies maybe aren't as much of a surplus as what we would like to see at this time of the year. So definitely supported prices today to start the week.
Sam, how can our viewers get in touch for more marketing information?
Best way would be to visit our website at agmarket.net, or you could give us a phone call here in Normal at 1-800-779-1515.
He's Sam Trainor of agmarket.net, my guest for Closing Markets today. Sam, thank you as always for the information and the analysis, and we'll look forward to speaking again soon.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you to Sam Trainor of agmarket.net for the closing market discussion here today. Let's take a look at the closing numbers, how the markets closed, and you can find that information anytime under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. December corn down 2 1/4 at 4.10 3/4. November soybeans up a penny at 10.07 3/4. December soybean meal down 90 cents at 274.10. December soybean oil up 63 cents at 50.60. Chicago wheat down 1 3/4 at 4.96 3/4. Minneapolis wheat is unchanged at 5.52. Kansas City hard red wheat down 1 3/4 at 4.81 1/4. December oats up a half cent at 2.97 3/4. On the Merc, October live cattle up 2.10 at 240.58. October feeder cattle unchanged at 375.50. December lean hogs up 83 cents at 84.85. December pork cutout unchanged at 95.50. Class 3 milk down 3 cents at 16.89. That wraps up the closing markets for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook and X, and you can listen to our morning, midday, and closing market podcast, as well as our daily episodes of our Iowa Ag Matters podcast at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Dustin Huffman, Riley Smith, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching Ag Matters PM.